Hi, second graders. Welcome to your TV classroom. Today is Monday, January 25th. How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? Did you relax? Did you have a hard weekend? How was it? Thanks for sharing. I had a really great weekend with my family. We did some hanging out. Oliver played outside. It was wonderful. Before we get going with our math today, I would like us to check in with our zones. Go ahead. Do an inventory of your emotions and your body and your brain. What zone are you feeling today? Let's see. How am I feeling today? Gus? I'm feeling content. That means that my needs feel like they're being met, my emotions needs are being met, and I'm doing okay. And my brain's ready to learn. So I'm in the green zone. I don't have any major reason for being in the green zone. I'm just feeling content. That's a new vocabulary word for you. Content, when everything's just going okay. Awesome. Make sure you share your zone with someone around you or with your learning buddy or maybe a pet. It's important to say our feelings out loud, to identify them, to acknowledge them. If they're a good feeling or a bad feeling, those feelings matter. And if you're having feelings that are making you feel uncomfortable or nervous or worried or sad, it's really important to tell a trusted person about those feelings so they can help you work through them or find someone who can help you. Okay? So make sure that you share those feelings, especially the ones that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Those are the most important ones to share. Now it's time for Make It Monday. Take a look at our number, and I want you to think about what are some ways we could make this number. Oh, I heard someone say we could do 10. Mr. Kevin, I was doing so good yesterday and this morning with my other lessons, and then I forgot. Oops. Friends, what happens is I have to make sure that the pen is set to the right color. If I don't, when I touch the slide, it goes to the next slide. And then I get really frustrated with myself that I forgot. Okay, I heard we could do 10s and 1s. Okay, what's another way we could make this number? We could do it in words. 66. What's another way we could make this number? Ooh, Gus. Yes, Gus said, let's write the value out. 66. We could do it in a place value chart. Oh my goodness. There's no hundreds, there's 6 10s and 6 1s. What about not using place value? What are some equations we could use to make this number? Oh, I know. Do you have one? 33 plus 33. Mr. Kevin, do you have one? I think he does.
I was going to say 33 multiplied by 2.
Ooh. Yes.
But we said the same thing, huh?
We did. Look at that. Huh. What else could we do? What if I had 100? How many would I have to subtract to get to 66? Well, I'd have to subtract 30 to get to 70. And then how many would I have to subtract to get to 6? 4. So it'd be 100 minus 74. Now, second graders, I know there are a lot more ways to make 66, and I know there are some creative ways to make 66. So if you have a different idea that I didn't capture on our slide today, I want you to email me that idea at the TV Classroom or send it to your teacher. And then if you send it to me, I will share your way the next time we do Make It Monday. And I'll say, so-and-so from Franklin Elementary found this way to make 66. And I'll share it. And we'll look at all the different ways students all across Tacoma are making numbers. And it'll be like doing a number talk from virtual distance. It will be really cool. So if you would like, tell me some more ways to make 66. Either send it to me in the email at the TV Classroom. You can always email us here, or send it to your teacher and they can send it to me at the TV Classroom. Okay? Awesome. Now, today we are learning to learning to. I think I was going too fast. What do you think, friends?
I have a sound effect for that.
Go ahead, Mr. Kevin.
Okay.
Oh dear. A mistake sound effect for Mrs. Wally. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what learners do when they make a mistake. And when I'm writing and I have something I don't want, I just cross it off because that tells me, oops, brain, you made a mistake. So today we are learning to write 3-digit numbers in multiple ways. There is no reason to get upset with myself for making a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. There is not a single person that does not make mistakes. So we just find the mistake and fix it. It's no big deal. On your whiteboard, would you please write how many hundreds, tens, and ones you see here? I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Mr. Kevin, how long have we been going? Thank you so much. Okay, you should have written 400s, 110, then I'm going to cross off the S because it's just one of them, and 6 ones to make the number 416. At this point, if you still don't know how to do this, this is the time at which you make sure you let your teacher know, I'm still not understanding how to write how many hundreds, tens, and ones, okay? And if you don't understand it still, that's okay, but make sure to let your teacher know so that they can do a small group and help you. Time to read. We do 3 reads with story problems because they help us understand them. We're going to read the first time to figure out what's going on in the situation. The second time to figure out what question are we answering, and the third time to figure out what information will we use to answer that question. So first read, we're not even going to worry about the numbers. All we're going to do is talk about what's happening. Ryan has a collection of 284 shells. What is another way to write 284 using numbers? What is another way to write 284 using words? What's happening in this problem? That this person, Ryan, has a collection of shells. Okay, let's read it again. This time you're listening for the question or questions. Ryan has a collection of 284 shells. What is another way to write 284 using numbers? What is another way to write 284 using words? What are the questions? Okay, what is another way to write 284 using numbers? What is another way to write 284 using words? What information do we have to work with here? Yeah, we know that there's 284 shells. Okay, so Mr. Kevin, if I could get my whiteboard up as well. So how do we attack this problem? What do we do? Well, first of all, I have 2 questions. So I better have 2 sections of my whiteboard to make sure I answer both questions. And the first question has to do with numbers. And the second question is with words. Okay. 284. What's another way I could write that? We could do what we learned on Friday. We could do using the value of each digit and adding them together. So what would that look like? Write that down on your board. Well, 2 in the hundredths place is, yep, you got it, 200. And don't forget that plus sign. Okay, and then we do the value of the tens place, which is 80. And then we do the value of the ones place, which is 4. Look, we did another way with numbers. Now we need to do 284 and another way with words. We could do 284, or we could do 2 hundreds, 8 tens, and you could write out the word 8, but I'm not because it'll take a long time, and 4 ones. Or you could write 284. Either of those are a good option. Go ahead, pick which one you want to do. All right, let's go into the next problem. We can be just on the screen, Mr. Kevin. You can use base 10 blocks to show hundreds, tens, and ones. Then write the number in expanded form and in words. 284, 200 plus 80 plus 4, 284. Now, we didn't draw the base 10 blocks because it didn't ask for us to show it with a model, and we've been working on this, and we didn't need the model. But if you didn't know what to do, could you model it first and then use that model to help you? Yes, that's what strong mathematicians do. Okay. You can show hundreds, tens, and ones in a chart. Then write the values in numbers and words. 284, 2 hundreds, 8 tens, 4 ones, or 284. Right, we've been practicing this, haven't we? If at this point this is still not making sense, it is now time to let your teacher know. Okay? Awesome. It says write the number of Ryan's shells using only digits. So you're going to do that on your whiteboard. I want you to write the number of Ryan's shells just using digits. That means just like the regular number. Okay, go ahead, do it on your whiteboard. You're going to need space. We're going to do a couple different things. So 200, let's do a pen. It's easier for you to see. Not when it's yellow. Oh dear. 284. That's what it should look like on your whiteboard. Now, write 284 using words. It says, look at the picture on the previous page. Use the words to write 284. Go ahead, write it on your whiteboard. It should look like this. 280 GHTYFOUR 284. Then it says, look at model it. How many hundreds, tens, and ones are there? How many hundreds, tens, and ones are there? Yeah, there's 2 hundreds, 8 tens, 4 ones. 2 hundreds, 8 tens, 4 ones. Write the number in expanded form to show the total number of shells as an equation. On your whiteboard, do that now. We're going to take this value, 200s, and write the value, which is what? 200. Then 8 tens, what's the value? 80. 4 ones, what's the value? 4. Now we're going to do a problem. There are 361 fish in the large tank at the aquarium. How do you write 361 in word form? Show your work. 20 seconds, go. Okay, 361. That's what yours should say. Ella makes 118 friendship bracelets. How would Ella write that number in expanded form? Go ahead, write 118 in expanded form on your whiteboard. You have 20 seconds. Go. Okay, 118. The teen numbers are the tricky ones because the teen numbers, we don't say the value to make the number. They're the only numbers in all of our number system where we don't say the value when we say the number, like 27 is 20 and 7, but 18 is not 8 and teen. It's these weird numbers that don't match the pattern. So you have to really rely on the digit and the value it's in. 100, 110, 8 ones. Okay? How do you write the numbers shown in the chart using words? Go ahead and look at the answers and decide which one is using words. Look at the place value chart. Is it 570? Is that the number? Is it 57? 57? Is that the number? Is it 517? Is that the number? Or is it 570? Is that the number? Write the letter you think it is on your whiteboard. The correct answer is D. 7 tenths is 70. Now, we get lazy here in the United States and we schwa that T to a D. We say 7D. It is 70. That's the actual word. But in our dialect that we speak, we say D. So a lot of students put a D there instead of a T. So just remember that 70 is actually 70. Okay? All right. Now, your assignment today is to work on pages 333 and 334, working on more problems showing different ways to write the number, the value, using words and pictures and place value charts. Okay? Today we learned, there it is again. We learned to learning. What am I going to do? I'm going to fix it. Today we learned to write 3-digit numbers in multiple ways. I can show the number in a place value chart. We showed the numbers in expanded form. We wrote the numbers with words, and we told the value of the digits. Great job today, second graders. Now, before you go, you need to get your things ready for Miss Oslin. You need to make sure you have your learning buddy and your ELA packet and a pencil and your whiteboard and your marker. I don't have her slide on here, so she may tell you something else to bring, but make sure you have those things ready to go before you go on your break. Have a great break and be ready to learn when she's back on the screen. I will talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.
Hello, my name is Denise, and I'm a violinist with the Northwest Sinfonietta. I'm here for us to share a moment of breathing and listening to music together today. Let's start by getting centered by taking a few breaths together. We're going to inhale to a count of 4, and then we're going to hold our breath for 4 counts, and then we'll exhale to a count of 4. Get comfortable, relax your shoulders, maybe roll your head side to side once or twice, and let's inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that one more time. This time I won't count aloud. We can all count in our heads. And if you like, go ahead and close your eyes. Ready? Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. Well done. I'm going to play a piece called Fairy Tales for you by the composer Ignatius Sancho. He lived from 1729 to 1780. If you think of fairy tales, what comes to your mind? Maybe magical creatures or talking animals or kids off having adventures. What feelings get stirred up in you by those stories? And how would you express those feelings in music? Do you think the music would be slow and quiet with long singing tones? Or maybe it would be light and fast, like sounds of laughter and dancing? Listen to this piece and notice what kind of feeling Ignatius Sancho expresses with his music. What do you think of that music? It sounds pretty light and happy. You might think that Mr. Sancho really liked fairy tales and that maybe he also had a good sense of humor and was a happy person to be able to write a piece like that. It's amazing to me to know that Mr. Sancho was born in 1729 on a slave ship off the coast of Africa. He faced the world alone because he lost his parents when he was young. Despite being enslaved, he taught himself to read and write and to play music. He spoke out against the slave trade and wrote essays, plays, poetry, and music. Here's another beautiful piece by Ignatius Sancho. It's called Minuet Number 15. Ignatius Sancho was eventually freed from enslavement and went on to start a business, a successful grocery store, and to become the first Black person of African origin to vote in England. He was also the first Black composer to have his music published. I hope you've enjoyed listening to Ignatius Sancho's music with me and to taking a few breaths together.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from your break. Excellent job being so responsible in gathering your materials. You don't need your writing notebook or pencil yet. You will need them when you do your independent work. So go ahead and put those off to the side, and you can keep your learning buddy in your lap or put your learning buddy off to the side now too if you would like. Let's remind ourselves what we have been learning. We have spent a lot of time learning about our own feelings, and we've used our feelings tree to help us use really specific words to identify what we're feeling so that when we use our I messages, the other person has a really clear idea of what we're feeling and why. And we have a new unit where we have been learning about empathy. Empathy is when we're aware of and sharing in another person's feelings. And the first step of empathy is to stop and think about how someone feels. So when we're practicing empathy, the first step is we're not really thinking about how we feel yet. We first need to think about the other person and how they might feel. The second step in empathy is to put yourself in someone else's shoes and think of a time when you felt that way. And you ask yourself, have I ever felt the same way before? Today, we're going to learn that conflicts can be solved or improved by using empathy. We talked a lot about conflict, which is a normal problem to have with someone else. Today, we're going to go back and review some of our conflict solver strategies and think about how we can improve those conflict solvers by using our new empathy skills. You'll remember we use the peace path to help us solve a conflict with someone else. And step one is to tell the problem. This is when you use your I message. I feel because. Now, step one is also to listen to the other person's I message, because we've learned that often other people have different points of view. They have different feelings about the same situation that we're in. And that is oftentimes what leads to conflict, is that they have different feelings and we don't show empathy. Step two is to brainstorm solutions. Both people think about what are some potential conflict solvers that they could use to solve this conflict, so that both people, you'll remember, win-win, get some of what they want and feel okay with the outcome. Now, step three is you come back together with the other person that you're having conflict with and you discuss and agree on a win-win solution to try, because there's oftentimes more than one win-win solution that would work in a conflict. I'm noticing a typo on this. Mrs. Wally taught me that when you make a typo or a mistake, you don't have to worry, you just fix it and move on. So it's not how cold. Second graders, we know a trick for remembering how to spell the word could. Do you remember? Could old uncles love, where's my L? Love, is it dancing? There we go. Whew. It's a good thing that I have tackled that word could so that I can spell it correctly. Mr. Kevin.
I'm an old uncle and I love dancing. So I'll remember now how to spell could.
Could. So, and friends at home, you could also picture Kevin. Could an old uncle like Kevin love dancing? I don't think you're old, Mr. Kevin.
Oh.
How could saying back an I message help you empathize during a conflict situation? We're going to focus on this step in our conflict solvers, or on our peace path, to help us better solve conflict. Now, this is the question that I want you thinking about as we read our story that we're going to read today. And this is also the question that you're going to write in response to in your writing notebook for your independent work today. Today, we're going to read a story called The Sandwich Stop. And it's by Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah with Kelly DiPuccio and illustrated by Trisha Tusa. Or the Sandwich Swap. Did I call it the Sandwich Shop? Oh my goodness, it's the Sandwich Swap. Very different things. And this is a story about two friends who have a conflict with each other about their sandwiches. And I want you to think about how showing empathy could help these friends better solve their conflict. It all began with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it ended with a hummus sandwich. Now, you might not be familiar with hummus. Hummus is a savory dip or sandwich ingredient that can be made with garbanzo beans and oil and garlic. And it's a little bit different than peanut butter and jelly. Salma and Lily were best friends at school. They drew pictures together. They played on the swings together. They jumped rope together. And they ate their lunches together. But just what they ate was a little different. Lily ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch. Salma ate a hummus and pita sandwich every day for lunch. Now, it's really interesting that these two friends have so much in common, but they eat different things for lunch. Now, what we eat for lunch can be part of our culture. Our culture are the things that make us who we are. And it often comes from what is normal and typical for our families. So in Lily's family, it's typical to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch every day. And in Salma's family, it's normal to eat a hummus and pita sandwich every day. And those are different. But we're going to learn how we can use empathy to better understand someone, even if they do something that's different than us. And although Lily never said it out loud, she thought Salma's sandwich looked weird and yucky. She felt terrible that her friend had to eat that icky chickpea paste every day. Ew, yuck. And although Salma never said it out loud, she thought Lily's sandwich looked strange and gross. She felt just awful that her friend had to eat that gooey peanut paste every day. Ew, gross. Now, keep in mind our feelings tree as we read what happens next. Then one day, Lily just couldn't hold back those pesky thoughts any longer. "Your sandwich looks kind of yucky," she blurted out. "What did you say?" Salma asked, thinking she must have misunderstood her friend. "I said your sandwich looks yucky." Salma frowned. She looked down at the thin, soft bread, and she thought of her beautiful, smiling mother as she carefully cut Salma's sandwich into 2 neat halves that morning. Her hurt feelings turned mad. "Yeah, well, your sandwich looks gross, and it smells bad too," Salma snapped back. Lily looked surprised. She sniffed the thick, squishy bread, and she thought of her dad in his silly apron whistling as he cut Lily's sandwich into 2 perfect triangles that morning. Lily scowled. "It does not smell bad." "Does too." "Ew, yuck." "Ew, gross." Oh. Okay, let's look back at our feelings tree. How did Salma feel about her friend Lily saying that her sandwich looked yucky? Hurt. We talked about how we have had hurt feelings, where it's kind of like when you hurt your body, but it's in your heart and in your feelings. And then her hurt feelings turn to mad. So if Lily had thought about Salma's hurt feelings and her mad feelings, how could she have prevented this conflict and the hurt feelings? If she had practiced empathy, how could this conflict have been prevented? What could she have done? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, she probably just should have kept her thoughts to herself. Telling someone else that their food looks yucky doesn't serve any positive purpose. Now, I want to share with you something that one of my friends, Mr. Paul at Bernie, taught me. I don't think he remembers that he taught me this, but he says that his wife says this saying, "I will never yuck someone else's yum." Say that with me. I will never yuck someone else's yum. And I think that's just a really good life lesson, because saying yuck to something that is someone else's yum doesn't serve any positive purpose. The only thing that I can think of that would come of that is hurt feelings. So let's keep reading to see how our characters, Lily and Salma, can solve this conflict. That afternoon, the friends did not draw pictures together, they did not swing together, and they did not jump rope together. The next day, Salma ate her lunch at one table, and Lily ate her lunch at another. Meanwhile, the peanut butter versus hummus story had spread, and everyone began choosing sides. Each side had something not so nice to say about the other. Peanut butter breath, jelly head, garlic breath, chickpea brains. Pretty soon, the rude insults had nothing at all to do with peanut butter or hummus. You're weird. You're stupid. You look funny. You dress dumb. And then it happened. Somebody yelled. Oh. Now, somebody yelled something. We have learned that when we get into these conflicts and we start to recognize that our feelings are getting really high on the feelings thermometer, we first need to stop and think before we yell or say or do anything. Then we practice our stop and stay cool steps, which are: we say out loud, "I feel like I am losing control." Practice saying that with me. I feel like I am losing control. And then we stop. We give ourselves a chili hug. Practice doing this with me. It's been a while since we've done it. And then we breathe in for 5 and breathe out. So let's do that together. Then we can practice using our I message. I feel because. And the idea is to use these steps to help us before we yell. But that's not what happened in the sandwich swap. So let's think about what did happen. Food fight! Peanut butter and hummus sandwich and other lunch favorites began flying back and forth between both sides of the lunchroom. They stuck to the walls, they stuck to the ceiling, they stuck to the lunch lady. When the sandwiches were all gone, pudding cups and applesauce and carrot sticks took flight. Salma and Lily looked at one another from across the rowdy, splattered room. They both felt ashamed by what they saw. The following day, Salma set her lunch down across. Oh, I'm missing a page. Excuse me. They both felt really ashamed when the principal called them into her office after they had helped clean up the mess. The following day, Salma sat her lunch down across from Lily's. The two girls nibbled on their sandwiches in silence. Finally, Lily got up the courage to speak. Would you like to try a bite of my peanut butter and jelly? Salma grinned. Sure, why not? Would you like to try my hummus and pita? Lily laughed. I'd like that. On the count of 3? Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yummy. Hey, this is delicious. And this is heavenly. The girls giggled and hugged and traded sandwiches. After lunch, Salma and Lily met with the principal again. This time, they were there to suggest a very special event for the whole school. So, what happens after the characters taste each other's sandwiches? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy. Gus, the characters realize that they actually like each other's sandwiches, even though they didn't think they would. Now, let's see what Lily and Salma suggest as an event for the entire school. And that's how it all began, with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and ended with a hummus and pita sandwich. Now, I'm noticing, and I'll show you the next picture, that all the different students brought food from their culture, represented by flags. And of course, that we know that what you eat is not representative of your entire culture or even the deep parts, but it's one place to start, right? Having conversations with people about, what do you eat? And this is what I eat. And then trying each other's food before you decide what you think you will think about it. Again, it's practicing empathy and thinking that I will never yuck someone else's yum. Now, you will remember that practicing using the peace path can help you, and practicing empathy can help you solve conflict with someone. You can tell the problem, brainstorm solutions, decide on which problem solver you're going to use, and then try it together. You could decide to compromise. You'll remember compromising is each person gives a little to get a little, which is sort of the example that our friends used in this story, the sandwich swap. They gave a little bit of their sandwich, they got a little bit of the sandwich, and they realized they actually like each other's sandwiches. So the question that we're thinking about today is not how cold, fix that. Could old uncles love dancing? How could saying back an iMessage help you empathize during a conflict situation? Think about that for a moment. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, saying back an iMessage helps me empathize because it makes me see the situation from another person's point of view and better understand how they are feeling. Now, today we learned that conflicts can be solved or improved by using empathy, which is when we stop and think about how someone else feels and put ourselves in their shoes. Now, your independent work today is going to be to write in your writing notebook in response to the question, how could saying back an iMessage help you empathize during a conflict situation? And I also want you to practice empathy. Practice saying back iMessages. Practice stopping and thinking. And you can write about that all week. And what I want you to do, once you've finished your writing in response to this question, or written about how empathy can help you in a conflict, I want you to send it to your teacher, and or if you could, send it to us here at TV Classroom. We would love to share how empathy is helping you solve conflict in your life. And Mr. Kevin put up our email address, so you can email it to us after someone has taken a picture of it or scanned it, or you can put it in the mail and our address comes up at the end. We would love, again, to read it, especially because showing empathy is so important, especially these days. Now it's time for your affirmation. The affirmation that I want you to remind yourself is, I can show empathy. Practice saying that with me. I can show empathy. Excellent job thinking and feeling and reading with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow in our TV Classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.